What I find interesting about abstraction is how it challenges the human mind and the eyes and the brain, and it takes one to a place that might be unknown. It can be a portal, it can be a code, it can be a new idea. I approach materials and work in the same way that I would approach a person or another, which is that they're all totally different. We're all humans and we all have the same blood and skin and all those things. Each of us has a different story. I try to approach each piece in the same way because they're all calling for something and they all have a different story to tell. And, it's my job to write that. For me, sculpture is an extension of painting and the relationship between paint and support. And so just compositionally and formally, I'm approaching them in that way. But in my learning, it's become much more animated and much more about the gesture and the energy and the expression and the encapsulating existence of the medium and the viewer. How do I bring these bodies to life? How do I give them levity? How do I facilitate their desires and their interests and their ways of being? The fascinating thing about paint skins is that they really are an organism, and they can self-heal, they can stack, they can grow, they can direct. And my experience of working with them is very much about being inside of them. So when I'm actually working and I'm applying the skin, I am inside of the skin and I'm working it and I'm kind of seeing which direction it's leading me and what next step will go. And I have to assume and guess and facilitate its direction. And so that's really the choreography that happens there. And it's almost like being led blindly in a way, in the same way where I'm going into the metal yards or if I'm starting a project, I'm not sure exactly what's gonna happen, but trying to discover and understand even more nuanced ways with how I push something there, that it's gonna give more volume there, or if I take it that way, it's gonna bend that way, and trying to understand and anticipate it. And that's really what I think my relationship to the working has been, is this kind of anticipation and acknowledgement and just trying to create a life for it. Here in Miami, there's these beautiful Art Deco colors from the buildings. The city is all reflected at the metal yards because that's where it goes to end. So there's kind of a certain history of, the things that I'm interacting with that are site-specific to where I'm finding the work, which I do think kind of guides me, kind of helps me to cite it from its original place. But I'm not so interested in what the industrial man-made qualities of the work were. And I really like to take away the kind of humanistic qualities that were implemented into this metal, that came from the earth, that was excavated from the ground, that flowers were growing over, and that were connected to it in that way. And I'm interested in relating it back to that, to something as a source energy or as a source material or something that came from nature, even though it's gone through this industrial processing. I mean, I guess it's kind of the same way that we do for ourselves. We come into the world pure and open and light, and then we go through industry and processing, and we have to kind of reignite and rediscover our connection to our truth and to the ground.